You guys remember the video where Khaya Mthethwa said, nowadays he's not only attracting rubbish, right? And so I made a video about that, and we were talking about the other things that he was saying in the message that could have been beneficial than that statement. But it is what it is. That's what came out. And so I wanted to go back to that video and I wanted to talk about, was he right? Of course, we all agree he is not right. That now he's attracting trash. It's not the people that is trash, and I think it's the advice that the people are taking that is trash. It's not the people, it's the advice that people are taking. And I wanted to take one by one the advice that I've seen in the dating scene that I absolutely do not like. Might be about 6 of them, or 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever. Yeah, around there. 4 for males, 4 for females, which I think they don't only discourage getting into a relationship, they actually delay getting into a relationship, and also some of them actually ruin capabilities of good conversations towards seeing a relationship. And I think that is why I wanted to make this video. Structured show the daily Christian commentary videos. Now I've tried filming this video a couple of times. It is what it is. Do like the video just for that alone. And so let's start first with the first point for females. The first one for females that I've seen that is terrible advice. You have an example of this advice when the lady, this South African doctor lady, was paying for her husband's car for like 20,000 or something like that, and there was this trend of people who were saying, young professionals, women should not get into relationships too early. Like if you go back to that video and you look at source videos on TikTok, you will see the videos I'm talking about. They were these advice videos. And we don't necessarily think about who's giving the advice. Sometimes the person who's giving you advice has just gotten a notification. You see, the advice that a person will give you after they got a notification is completely different to what reflects future. And so there was a lot of that, people that might be right now enjoying the pleasures of career apart from relationships, outside of career. Those advice came from people like that. I can bet you that. Those advice came from people that they just finished their 7-year in law degree or whatever you call it. LLB, whatever you call it. They just finished some form of a professional career. And so that's all they can value at that point. But if you look at why this advice is terrible for women, is because by 35, most women can't have kids. And you'll see, if you go on YouTube, you'll see a trend of, I'm 30 and I'm single, I don't have a job, and I don't have a house, or I don't have a car. You'll see a mix of this type of videos. They are very popular on TikTok and on YouTube. And why do you think this happens? It's because this is the advice they were taken to. They were told, don't get involved in relationships at this early ages, when you're being a professional, when you're still in school. And so we have references of people who've built their relationship from teenagehood or from high school, and they became married. I have a cousin who's been with a partner for over 30 years. And I can tell you right now, exactly like that. They met very early and they built their life together. And so that advice, it's someone who's enjoying the pleasures right now, maybe a little bit of hurt in the past. And so they think, I got hurt when I was younger, but I've built a career. And so be very careful with advice like that. That's mostly geared towards women. Now, there is a version for it for men. So this would be the first one that I don't like. This is not the people that are saying that are not trash. It's the advice that they're giving that is trash. For the man, it's that a man is what he gives. This is the advice that is very popular. Unfortunately, this advice, when it comes to men, it comes from men and women. When we are amongst our guy groups, we tend to see that conversation. Look at what this one is wearing. Look at what this one drives. Look at where this guy lives. Look where you work. This is how men tend to talk. Unfortunately for the men, this advice also gets peddled by women. They don't want to date this kind of guy. They don't want to date this kind of guy. And so a man is what he gives, unfortunately, is why you have a high rate of men It's because if all I can do is be valued at what I give, if I can't give, then what? So this is why the rate of men is so high, because I'm only valued when I can do something. It's absolutely terrible advice. It also applies in other areas, but particularly on this one, I wanted to highlight it for the first reason, to say it's a terrible way of gauging yourself at defining my entire life at work. I define my entire life at I'm a doctor, and many other things apart from that. And unfortunately, if you don't come to that decision, you're more than what your job description is. It's fine. Some people are going to choose to be that, but that's why you have videos of, I'm 30 years old, I have a career, but I don't have a job, I don't have a house, so why? Because that's what you were promised. You're going to achieve all of these things that you thought were going to make life at the end of it all. And when you watch the old Nigerian movies where people sell their souls and stuff like that, it's funny. You'll see people go at it and they sell out and they do what and they get all those things. And guess what? At the end of that, they absolutely hate everything because they would want that thing that was taken from them. So think about it. That's advice that is absolutely terrible. We are more than what we give. And also from a man's perspective, and also for the woman, to delay your period of building relationship with people because someone told you, you are more valuable. It's absolutely terrible. To think you're going to enter a relationship because you are more valuable, you're going to create an unrealistic number in your head. That doesn't exist. Or it actually goes to the second advice that goes for women. That is terrible. Boss lady. The boss lady trend of, I only date, I make 10 million. I'm only looking for men who make 10 million. That's absolutely terrible. You will not meet a man that is like that thinks like that. This advice is particularly geared for females. And there's a reason for that. It's because, because we think, okay, the man has the most amount of money that he earns, and if he decides to leave, the woman is destitute. I get that. It comes from that. But then look at what the intentions become. Is that it now dictates what kind of relationship she was willing to find. And that is a very unrealistic. You don't determine who you're going to meet. I don't know who I'm going to meet. The moment I walk out of this door, I might meet anybody. I might meet people in my past. I might meet people in the future, people that I might become friends with. You don't know. And so it's very ridiculous to stay, I'm only going to date men who are at this level. Because why? You don't know who you're going to meet. And on top of that, men at that level might not like you. You particularly. They might not like you. They might like a different kind of woman. So it's a very ridiculous way of gauging whether I can get into a relationship. But it's very popular amongst female entrepreneurship. You'll hear women saying that. I'm building my 20 million empire. I'm building, like if you listen to them in the podcast and whatnots, I don't even need to show videos of that. You'll hear them saying this kind of things. I'm building an empire towards this. I want a man like this. But when a man looks for a relationship, he just looks for a woman that is fitting to build with. That's it. He doesn't care whether she's in the same field and whatnot. And also that idea it's a bit emotional in a sense, because if I think about what it takes to do what I do, I don't want a person who does what I do. I want a person who does a little bit of whatever they do, because then we can detox and we don't have to deal with the hectic nature of our work and our work schedule and stuff like that. So that advice is also very terrible. The boss lady advice. Now, the boss lady advice creates another one. I'm going to come back to it, but I want to go to the men. Another advice that men tend to get. Eat your money. Eat your money. Chop your money. Okay? Chop your money. You will see it within budget memes. There's this budget memes that go viral where you'll see, they say salary, 2,500. And they say booze, 1.5. Booze, braai, and with the fellas, 1.5. And then rent 200, food and kids. Then they put like 100 or something like that. It's this, be irresponsible at your expense. So you waste on yourself. And there's also another string on it where you'll hear guys who on social media, particularly on Facebook, it's very popular on Facebook, where you hear guys saying, no, I will never be a stepfather. There's a guy from KZN who's very popular for that. I've seen him on Penuel's show and also on DJ's Bruce's show. He's a Zulu guy. He's very popular. I don't listen to him at all because I've seen the opposite of what he says. The absolute opposite. And he does acknowledge that the opposite is rare. Yeah. I just happen to be one of those people that have had a stepfather who was an amazing person, an absolute champ at it. Okay. And so I can't take what that man says about that, because I've seen the exact opposite of that. Now, this chop your money thingy, now that's a subsection. The one of don't want to be a step. It's that my money is my money. I can't have it go to other people. It must be eaten by me. I must spend 1.5 out of 2.5 salary. And that's mostly the budget you see on this memes. This is terrible because it goes back to the Abrahamic blessing. If you look at the Abrahamic blessing, you will turn to an Esau, basically. The simple advice. You're going to turn into an Esau because if it cannot transition away from you, if it only benefits you and it doesn't transition to someone else, go and look at what happens with that. Go and look at why the Bible says, Jacob I have loved and Esau I have hated. Why? Because the Abrahamic blessings functions at that space where you must be willing to give it to someone. And if it is only towards you, spend towards you, eat towards you, it's very popular month end. You will see videos like this. Guys just buying food. KFC, what? There was even a trend last year. Purity. Of men eating purity. Hey, South Africa is a movie. There was a trend of men eating purity, and they were saying, yeah, no, Kanti, this is what the nice things that these kids are eating. No, we must eat this thing. It comes from that. It comes from this idea that you eat it. So I don't want to be a dispenser of the Abrahamic blessing. Only I benefit from it. It's terrible advice because it doesn't transition into that Abrahamic blessing that I'm talking about. But also, not only does it not transition to the Abrahamic blessing idea, what it does is that it assumes waste towards yourself, basically. So waste towards you, basically. Don't spend towards others. Waste it. So there's a difference. But anyways, this also has another one for the females, where my money is my money, his money is our money. It's a very popular one for the females. It's never geared towards men. I haven't seen men. Like, for instance, there's a guy who's getting money from a celebrity. There's a celebrity, I forgot her name. And her husband is paying alimony, I think. She was dating some white guy, and the guy is getting some certain amount of money. She's a radio host. I forgot her name. And she has to pay a certain amount of money because the guy was dependent on her. Spousal support, basically. That's what it is. And she is paying a certain amount monthly to the man. So, and you will notice something. When that thing came out, nobody was celebrating that. Nobody was celebrating that. Nobody was like, yeah, you see. Because it is something that we just don't even think of. It's not the first thing that comes off your mind. It's like, okay, so the man is... It's just not the first thing that comes off. Now, why? This idea of your money, her money is her money, his money is our money. It builds a very terrible sentiment. This builds the idea of, I paid for my own lobola. The females that post videos like that. You'll hardly see that type of a complaint from a man. You'll see that complaint from a woman because she's assuming it's the man that should do. No, you did that because you loved the man and you wanted the two of you to be in one place. And you were probably pushing for the marriage. That's the part that we don't ever say. Excuse me, please. You were probably pushing for this marriage thing to happen. And so that time, the guy didn't have the muscle. So you went on with that. So we don't ever come back and say that. And so why? Because her money is her money. His money is our money. It's a terrible sentiment to hold because it also does not transition to the Abrahamic blessing. If it doesn't look at the fact that the man might lose his job, then what? Do we stop existing because now the man doesn't have a job, you have a job? So do we dump the man? There's also now TikTok videos that are going viral of women stating that she doesn't. There was a video not long ago, I think 2 weeks back, which was trending similar, where this woman was stating why she does not do anything for her husband. The husband cooks, he does what, but she does not do nothing. She doesn't do him lunch, doesn't wash his clothes. And then she states her job is being a housewife. And I'm like, wow, it must be nice to be you. Absolutely terrible at doing something. He cooks, he does what, you can't wash his clothes, you don't do nothing. Like, so this creates a terrible state of responsibility, because should that woman be by herself, she can't survive. By the way, in her, she went viral for some time. I think for 2 weeks. Now people are not talking about it as much, but 2 weeks back they were talking about it. She even went on a podcast bragging about this thing. And why is it that she was doing all these things that are absolutely shameful towards her husband, by the way? It's because she feels like it's an achievement. She feels like she's doing something. And now she's advising other people. Now, by the way, that same advice, a month before, there was a woman that went viral bragging about the same thing. And the husband divorced her immediately, because the guy had not realized that was a terrible thing, that she couldn't do nothing for him. Absolutely nothing. Not even lunch, not even giving me food, nothing. And so when the guy heard that, and then people started commenting on it, then the guys are like, oh, okay, this is a bad thing. Okay, no, wait a minute, we're done here. And he left his marriage. It's absolutely terrible advice, because it tells the woman, do everything for yourself, do everything with it, be about you and nobody else. This advice is very, very terrible. Not only does it go towards her money is her money, and the man's advice of chop your money, but it comes to what is yours is yours. So they have no sense of responsibility. It puts a woman at a position where she has no sense of responsibility if the man should lose his job. Which leads me to a story that went out, I think about 2021. It went viral after COVID. There was this woman that went on a run. She went viral. She went on a run for her husband who had cancer. The man was dying on bed. And she went on a run. She did it for herself. And shout outs to her ex-husband. So she was divorcing this man because now he was bedridden. And so people were like, but wait a minute. So if you were bedridden, how do you think he would have treated you? Because the guy was like, good luck to her. The man didn't say anything bad. But everybody else was like, wait a minute. So you left him because he lost his mobility? So you see what it creates. It creates this environment where if I don't like something, just for the sake of not liking it, not for any other reason. If I don't like something for the sake of not liking it, I can leave. But everybody else should be a servant to me. If the world doesn't serve me, that's it, I'm done. It's at my case. So it creates a very terrible stake for a relationship, because that's a person that can build a relationship outside of what other people do towards. Numero uno is all that matters. That's a terrible way of looking at relations. And that's unfortunately the kind of advice that people are seeing nowadays. It's the kind of advice that people are seeing. So you don't just have the one, wait for yourself. You just have also the ones that my money is my money here. So you'll see videos of people complain about school fees, complain about rent. I've seen videos, a couple of videos of females complaining about rent, complaining about things. Now why? Because they are not used to what it actually costs to pay for things. Why? Because for the longest time, waste for me, his money is our money. So he's like, oh, okay. The Abrahamic blessings comes to me, let's dispense. But then, when it comes to you doing that, there's this lady, Tahaji, I forgot her name. There's this woman that went viral. They were dating, and they were in a relationship together, and they both grew up in Hollywood, and the husband was not making as much money, and he was more like a house husband. He wasn't working much, so he was taking the kids, bringing them home, taking care of everything. The little job that you get it there, and she was making the most money, and she divorced him because of that. And then the man, when she divorced, it's all good. It became very public. The news came out about it, whatnot. Everybody was talking about it. because everybody was talking about it, he got jobs because of that. He got jobs because of that. And when he got jobs because of that, he started making way more than what he would have made in thinking. And now it built a certain bitterness in the woman. She wouldn't stop. I think she had a reality TV show or something like that. She wouldn't stop talking about this man. And everybody was like, dude, just get over it. The man is not talking about you over there. You are over here. You're the one who decided to leave because you thought you were making more and blah, 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 blah. I think she was on The View or something like that. I can't remember. And they grilled her because of that. Because you were making more money, you left. And that brings up this particular aspect also, because his money is our money, my money is my money. And there's no other relationship that she had that some women would have outside of what they are able to bring into it. If they're bringing in something into it, wait, let's stop. I'm done with this relationship now. Because of this factor, when this imbalance is happening, or when this, he doesn't bring anything, this tells you of another one that, to be very careful about your capability of earning an income and what it reflects into a relationship. For some women, the day they make money, that's the day the relationship is dead. Yeah, because the moment now they look at the husband a certain way. Yeah, they start looking at it like they start looking at the man a certain way. And it goes back into that young professionals thing. There are women that think they are men who are out there just sitting and thinking, yeah, I want a woman that does. Mostly when men look for women, they're looking for someone who they can have a conversation with. It's an amazing partner. Bam, we can build a life together. I don't care. They're not thinking about what kind of an income you have. But there are spaces where you start to realize that there's a certain type, when they start making money, it ruins the relationships next to them. All relationships get ruined because now they have money. And you'll hear it in their tone, because they now start speaking like this. They start saying, how dare men like this approach me? Yeah, you see, that man doesn't have the confidence level, the confidence issues that you have. You feel like you'd be more valued if you were approached by a CEO. Now, that man just sees a beautiful woman that he would build a relationship and an amazing household. That's all he sees. That man has confidence. He doesn't have those issues. He doesn't have those image issues where he looks at himself at the value of what he can give. No, he is functioning as a man in a world where he sees, that's a beautiful woman I can build a home with. But because you've been told this lie that you must gauge the people that you're on the basis of what their value is, it's an absolutely terrible thing to do, because so wait, where is the conversation? Where is the companionship? If it's all based off of what money you bring in and what money that person brings in, that advice is mostly geared towards women. That advice, they tried using that advice for males. Like when you listen to alpha male content, alpha males are guys on social media who have self-confidence issues. So now they try to give advice to other men on how to get with women and how to get success. And it's a very useless type of content. I don't watch that. It's absolutely terrible, because it puts a price on being valued. So I'm going to be valued if I present myself this way. I mustn't dress like this. I must dress myself like this. This is manly. This is what, when you sit like this. It's a very useless type of content. Useless type of content. So they try to sell that idea using that content of, the man must also look at the kind of a woman that, but men don't use that. Men are visual. And so he's not looking at things. He's looking at a woman who's well-mannered, respectful, good communication. He's like, that's a good person I probably will be able to build a relationship and a family with. We don't use, she's a CEO. As a matter of fact, the CEO might be very Yeah, because she might have certain ideas. That thing. I remember going on a date with this other lady, and the first thing she mentioned. Bear in mind, we've talked outside of this on the phone and stuff, and the first thing she mentioned was she has a bond, she has a house, she has a bond, she has a car, she has a child, and she asked me, "What do you have?" I'm not kidding. That's literally what she asked. And she was using these things to determine maturity. So I try to give my argument for that's a terrible way of gauging maturity. Because anybody can have that. Anybody. If they have enough assets, if they have enough money around them, they can get a credit and get a house. They can get credit and get a car. They can have a child irresponsibly. These are not things to use, but this lady was using that. And so that particular one I know very well, and I can tell you right now, there was a lady I went on a date with, and the relationship did not start because of that. I kid you not. I'm not joking. Not joking. She literally was going to determine. She was not determining whether we're gonna be good communication to each other and we're gonna be loving. No, she was using our capability at what's in our hand. You have a child, you're gonna be responsible. You have a bond, and I'm like, that's a terrible way of gauging responsibility. That's a terrible way of thinking. And so, unfortunately, that advice is mostly geared towards women. I've seen it. It's terrible. It's not gonna go anywhere because anybody can build those criteria. It's just not gonna go anywhere. But anyways, these are the trash in the dating scene. It's not the people. It's the advice that they're taking. It's the advice that they're taking. Indoda must. What are you gonna do? What if Indoda must and he does those things and then he loses his job? Then what? Does Indoda must fail now? These are terrible. This is what the trash is. This is what needs to go to the dustbin. But yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. Is the Rick Added Show. Daily Christian commentary videos. Other episodes down today. Down in the pinned comments. And I'm going to check you out over there. I thought, let's have that conversation. And y'all tell me where you stand on that.